Isang mapagpalang araw na naman po sa inyong lahat. Kumusta po? So for today's episode, I'm gonna be talking about how to bring your dependents in Japan. So I'm gonna be sharing how I was able to bring my family as my dependents to live while I worked as an assistant language teacher under the JET program. One of the benefits of me becoming an ALT or an assistant language teacher under the JET program is me getting an instructor visa. That is because I teach at public elementary school, junior high school, senior high school, or special needs schools here in Japan, thus making me eligible to bring my dependents with me. For some ALTs, the process of bringing their dependents here in Japan is different from the process that I underwent. For those who were able to signify their interest of bringing their families with them, they underwent an easier and, shall I say, a faster process. For some JET ALT participants, they were able to bring their family a few days after or a few weeks after they first arrived in Japan. This is after submitting some pertinent documents to their contracting organization months prior to arriving to Japan. This saves them from the hassle, the time, and the effort of processing documents. In their case, their contracting organization or the Board of Education did all the processing. They would just ask for some documents for the JET participant to send them, and then the CO or the contracting organization takes charge of producing all other documents, documentary requirements, while the JET participant is waiting for their flight to Japan. As for me, I decided, actually my wife and I decided to bring my dependents with me a year after, or that's more than a year after I first came to Japan. So my limited Nihongo skills were put to ultimate test when I had to go to the ward office to request for like documents, certification of tax paid, residence certificate, and when I submitted the documents at the immigration office. So bakit ganun na lang yung kagustuhan ko to bring my family with me and live with me as I work in Japan? Unang-una, first, it's really difficult to be in an LDR or in a long-distance relationship. Diba? I suppose many can relate to this because even if you have now the modern technology, like you can video chat or you can call anytime you want to, but still the physical presence of your family or of your loved ones is still, it still has a different impact or effect on you. Especially I have a small young boy, a growing kid, so I had to miss some milestones of my son as he is growing. So yun, nakakapanghinayang. Ayun, so iba pa din yung virtual hugs, virtual kisses doon sa actual na physically mayayakap mo or makikiss mo sila. Second, financially, it's really a gamble on my part and on the part of my wife. Kasi my wife also had a good paying job back in the Philippines. So she had to give it up. She had to resign when she decided to move here with me. So we thought that when she comes over here, mas mamamanage namin yung finances namin. Kasi we don't own house back in the Philippines. So we're just paying rent. Tapos dito I pay rent. And then there are other daily living expenses din. Yun. So we have to consider them also. So we thought na if we live together, mas mapag-iisa namin, mas mamamonitor namin kung ano yung mga expenses namin at mas nasa-centralize yung pagkakagastosan namin. Third, as a dependent, my wife can work part-time here with a maximum of 28 hours a week. So lucky if she finds a company that would directly hire her and then sponsor her working visa while she's here. So in that case, if that happens, her dependent visa would be changed to a working visa, making her like being able to work more than 24 hours, like the regular 8 hours a day. Yan, so depende sa company. Fourth, my son can enjoy benefits that the local kids can enjoy. Like my son now goes to a public nursery school. He eats the same school lunch. He plays in the same playground. He receives the same medical benefits such as discounted pedia checkups or hospital visits, including yung mga medicines or mga gamot. Fifth, both my wife and my son are covered by the national health insurance system in Japan na kasama sa binabayaran ko. As I mentioned earlier, they enjoy the same benefits like 70% discount in all medical transactions, including school, hospital visits, sa medicine. Yun. And they get to pay only 30%. Yung katulad din sa akin. So 70% yung free and then 30% lang yung binabayaran namin. Sixth, my dependents were also issued yung residence card, which makes them verified and legal residents in Japan. So they can go in and out of the country without the hassle of applying and renewing their visas every so often. They can roam around the neighborhood without the worry of mahuli sila for overstaying or ano ba yun? Yung before mga lakas maka 90s or 80s na TNT, mga ganun. And another bonus benefit of me bringing my dependents to live with me here is we all get to learn a new language, that is the Japanese language. Though I learned Japanese language naman before, but for my wife and my son, especially my son, yeah, he goes to school, so he plays with a lot of Japanese kids, and he interacts with his teachers. So dun sa nursery school na pinapasukan niya ngayon, siya lang yata yung gaikokujin or yung foreigner doon. So yeah, he's exposed to Japanese language every school day. And of course, aside from learning a new language, we get to experience living in another environment, another community na hindi katulad nung nakasanayan namin. Which is good naman kasi yun nga, we get to experience a different lifestyle or a different community. So what are the requirements in applying for getting your dependents? First, you need to fill out the application form for the Certificate of Eligibility. So this is a free downloadable form dun sa Immigration Office website. So I'm gonna be sharing the link below so you can just check it out. Other than the application form for the Certificate of Eligibility, you can also find there the template for the letter of guarantee. So, bilang ikaw yung mag-i-invite sa mga dependents mo to live with you, you need to guarantee na kaya mong tustusan yung mga needs nila once they're here already. So this form is also downloadable. It's also free dun sa Immigration Office website. And don't worry because the forms have English translations with them along with the Japanese. So it would be easier for you to fill out the necessary information that's needed for you to complete those forms. Once you're done with the application form for the Certificate of Eligibility and the Letter of Guarantee, make sure that you have one ID picture of each of your dependents. So also follow the specified size, which is 4 centimeters by 3 centimeters. Another requirement is the return envelope. Yung iba tinatawag natin tong self-addressed stamped envelope. Yun. So may nabibili sa mga convenience stores or sa Daiso. Yun. Parang A4 yung yung regular size. Of course, you need to write your address dito syempre sa Japan, and then bumili ka ng stamp sa post office worth 392 yen. Tapos idikit mo na, and then wag mong isisil, tapos yun, isasama mo dun sa mga ipapasa mong requirements. And of course, you also need to submit supporting documents na nagsasabi na you can afford to support your family once they're here. So on my part, I submitted certificate of employment. Of course, you can ask this from your employer. Sa case ko, it's from the Board of Education ng Kobe City. Pwedeng mag-request ka ng English and Japanese versions of your certificate of employment, kasi baka mamaya hanapin din ng travel agency na pagpapasahan mo yung certificate of employment mo. Tapos, you can also ask them to include your compensation. In addition to the certificate of employment from your contracting organization, you can also submit yung certificate of tax paid. Ito yung kinukuha o nire-request sa ward office, tax division sa ward office na kung saan ka nakatira. Though you can print yung certificate of tax mo sa convenience stores like 7-Eleven or sa Family Mart, pero it's not as official as yung makukuha mo dun sa ward office. So kailangan mo din talagang pumunta sa ward office para kumuha ng certificate of tax paid. And take note that when you submit the certificate of tax paid and the certificates of employment, make sure that you have the original copies. I mean, you submit the original copies because they won't accept yung mga photocopy lang. So, importante na ma-verify mo na original yung ipasa mo sa kanila. Another supporting document that you need to submit is yung proof of your relationship to your dependents. So, if you are married, you submit your marriage certificate. And if you have children, if you have children, you submit your children's birth certificate. Yun. So, hindi na kailangan yung birth certificate ni spouse kapag married ka, because the marriage certificate is already as good. As for the marriage certificate and the birth certificate, they will get only a photocopy of each document, but make sure to bring the original copies with you for verification. Once you've completed all the requirements, you can now go to the immigration office that's near you. It will take about an hour or two depending on the number of applicants also na nandun sa immigration office. During my application time, it took me about 1.5 hours. Yun, kasi nga madaming nauna sa akin. So, how long will it take before you get the certificate of eligibility? Sa akin, it took 3 months. Yun, so I had to wait for 3 months before I received the certificate of eligibility from the immigration office. But once I received the certificate of eligibility, I immediately sent it to my wife back in the Philippines, again through EMS. This is not a paid advertisement, pero EMS is super dali, as in 2 days yata, 2 to 3 days na pagka-send ko, na-receive ka agad sa Pilipinas. And lastly, make sure that your dependents are able to use their certificates of eligibility within 3 months din. Yun. Kasi after 3 months at hindi nila nagamit yon, magre-request ka ng panibago. Babalik ka sa step 1 and then maghintay ka ulit ng another 3 months para dumating yung certificate of eligibility mo. So, nung pagkapadala ko yung sa certificate of eligibility sa wife ko, immediately, she went to a travel agency sa Pilipinas kasi hindi na pwedeng mag-direct na punta sa Japanese embassy para mag-apply ng visa. Yun, unlike before. So, ngayon, maghahanap ka ng travel agency na magpa-process ng documents. Again, kahit meron ka ng certificate of eligibility, depende pa din sa requirements na sasabihin sa'yo ng travel agency. So, check with your travel agency kung ano yung mga additional requirements. Once your documents are complete, you just wait 1 week yata. 1 week before bumalik yung passport mo with your visa. So, kapag walang ibang problema. So, that's how I was able to bring my family, my son and my wife to live with me as I work in Japan. So, this process isn't only applicable to JET participants, but since I processed it on my own, I believe that all the other eligible visa holders in Japan could also bring their families with them following the process that I went through. So for our question time, if you could live in Japan with someone for a long time, who could that be and why? Share your answers in the comment section below. And that's it for today. I'll see you again next time. Adios.